I'd like to call to order this regular meeting of the Council of the Village of Chase, held here, 826 Okanagan Avenue, and via Zoom, today, March 25th at 4:04 p.m. Your motion to adopt the agenda, Councillor Herman, Councillor Torbon, all in favor? That's carried. Number 3, adoption of the minutes. Minutes of the March 11th, 2025 regular meeting.
I'll move that the minutes of the March 11th, 2025 regular meeting be adopted as presented.
Seconded by Councillor Conant. Any discussion on that one? All in favor? That's carried. 3.2 minutes of the March 18th meeting. Councillor Torbon.
I'll move that the minutes of the March 18th special budget meeting be adopted as presented.
Seconded by Councillor Herman. Discussion. All in favor? That is carried. We have no public hearings. We have public input on current agenda items. And after that, we have a delegation and just so the public knows, you can ask questions on this agenda, but Mr. Stamer has mentioned that when he appears as a delegation, he's ready to answer questions from the public at that time as well. So for number 5, is there any public input from members of the gallery on anything on this agenda? Yes, Caroline?
About
Name and
Carolyn Parks, 813 Okanagan. Just really pleased to see that the site selection and upgrading of the boat launch at Mill Park is proceeding. It's a big project, I know, but that's I think really important to locals as well as tourists.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Nobody on Zoom? There's nobody on Zoom. Oh, we have one person. Okay, thank you very much. And number 6, delegations. We have our new MLA Ward Stamer. And Ward, you have the floor. Thank you very much for coming.
Thanks very much, Dave. Thanks, everybody. Just had an opportunity to meet with your council ahead of this meeting, just to talk about a few things that are going on. And so this is just low key. The first time that I've had the opportunity to speak with you. Our office is up and running. It's actually in North Kamloops because I couldn't find an office in our riding, so to speak. I wanted to do it along the highway corridor, making it a bit easier for you folks to get to the office. Fortunately, there wasn't any space available, and now leasing is all controlled by the government. So it was either have an office out of a suitcase or take it or leave it. So Peter wanted to move downtown to Todd's old office, which is in his riding, and so I have his old office. So it's still in the same place, 618 Tronquil. We did some cleaning, we did some painting, and we're there Tuesday to Friday. So we're up on the website. Easiest way to get a hold of us is either through the web or through a phone number, and we can set up a time to meet. The only day that I'm really available is Fridays, because Monday to Thursday I'm at the legislature until the end of May. And of course, if there's anything that's very important or earth-shattering, you can always go through the district, and the village, and the village can get a hold of me too. So I've always worked that I'm always a phone call away, and please don't hesitate to call me. I know some people don't do it that way, but I do. Couple of things that were brought to my attention. There's been some local residents that have some concerns about the highway noise on the Chase Jade Mountain construction on Highway 1. I had a conversation with MOTT, used to be called MOTI, now it's Ministry of Transportation and Transit. And they assured me that they're doing everything they can to try to lessen the impact. I guess there was some transition and some extra noise in the process of their construction. They're telling me it's on time and still on budget, even with the issues that they've had with the hill. And there were some concerns about sound barriers, whether they were going to be needed or not. I explained to council that those processes will be determined towards the end of the completion of the project. There's parameters in noise levels, what was there before, what's appropriate and acceptable going forward, and that everyone will be available to have that conversation with MOTT when the project is almost completed. BC Budget 2025, try not to put a political lens on it. We've got a record deficit that's been projected to be $11 billion. I'm quite confident it'll be worse than that, higher than that. They've got a $4 billion contingency built into that, and I think it's probably going to exceed it with some of the lack of revenues that will be coming in. Unfortunately, when I had my 30-minute speech, I brought it to the government's attention that there's no real new money for municipalities. There's no additional grants for water and sewer and the things that roads, the things that you folks need just as much as everybody else. And we're hoping that maybe through the federal election, there will be an opportunity that somebody will make promises with federal money, and then there'll be opportunities to either match it or share it, you know, going through the process. But from what I understand, there's nothing available this year. What else is going on? Estimates, again, back to the budgets. We all have opportunities in our portfolio. I'm the Minister of Forests critic, and I get 6 hours specifically on estimates, and that's where you can actually get in the weeds and find out exactly what's going on. You know, where are they trying to look for cost savings? They're talking about efficiencies across the board, but they're really not specifying if there's any projects that they're going to cut, or if there's any services that they're going to reduce. And now with the tariffs that are possibly upon us, what other measures that they're going to be bringing forth. The Forest Minister, if you remember, was here through the area last week, making a bunch of announcements on money that was already spent. I believe the Kiln announcement in Canoe for $2.2 million was announced in November 2023. I'm not sure if it's going to be like those highway signs that stay up a year after the projects, but I've asked the minister specifically what they're going to plan on doing going forward, and his comments were that this was his listening and learning tour, and hopefully he hears what we've been saying is that we have some significant challenges in the forest industry, near and dear to everyone in this community as well as our other rural communities. And we're going to do everything we can to try to keep the mills running and not having them shut down. And I'm also, just to let everybody know, again, from a non-political perspective, more about a concern about representation from not only your council, but also myself, is that the NDP government have introduced a new bill. It's called Bill 7. It's supposed to give them extraordinary emergency powers until May of 2027. We've looked through it. It's unprecedented. It's never been asked for or even contemplated in our province before. Everyone knows that we have emergency powers when it comes to natural disasters, floods, fires, earthquakes, everything above. And now, for whatever reason, this government has decided that they need these emergency powers to be able to react quickly. We don't believe it's necessary. We believe that we're there for checks and balances, just like you folks are, and we're going to do everything we can to stop it. So if you need to know more, just go online, Google it. It'll take you right to the government website, and it'll show you. And when you start going through the weeds, you start realizing really what they're asking for. And it's not what they're planning on doing; it's what they could do. And now I'm available for any questions. Yes?
What do you think contributed, was there anything significant with regard to the deficit?
As in what?
Particular departments or COVID or?
As in, you mean why it's so high?
Yes.
Well, there was an additional $2 billion put into healthcare. We could probably argue whether it's going to help or not, but that's what they've done. There's additional funding in child development and poverty reduction. That ministry alone is $5.147 billion. It's massive. And again, all they've talked about with cost saving is looking for efficiencies and possibly reducing the travel of some of their key personnel. But no real specifics on trying to reduce the deficit whatsoever. This year's deficit is 10.9. Next year, I believe it's 10.8, and the third year is just below 10. And we're going to go from 133 billion to 208 billion in 3 years. So to put it in perspective, again, I'm not trying to be political, but before 2017, our debt was at 65 billion. they've doubled that debt in just under 8 years. So what it took us 154 years to build up, they doubled it in less than 8 years. And now they're gonna turn around and just about double it again.
Well, it's unfortunate, however, societies are judged by how they care for the poorest and most needful in their midst.
Mhm.
And it's been a tough time for a number of years for a lot of people, regardless perhaps of their income bracket. But if it's middle to lower income, it's been pretty tough for them. And governments survive with deficits, even the feds. So it can be worked on for sure. We'll keep an eye on it. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome, and if I can add to that too, if you look at the budget, and we're supposed to, from a provincial perspective, we're supposed to look at it not as a business. But I can argue that the folks in this room, the people that you represent, they have to balance the budget, right? They have to do the same as everybody in this room. You try to balance your checkbook. And for whatever reason, the federal and provincial governments don't have to do that. And when you look at the $93 billion budget, which is basically $1 billion per MLA, and your revenue stream is your main revenue target, or your main revenue income is income tax. $18 billion this year is coming from income tax. How much do you think is coming from natural resources? 3. So I would suggest that there's an imbalance there. Very similar that if you were trying to put all the taxes in this village on the backs of residential and not getting anything from business and industry, that sooner or later it would be too much. And I would argue that right now we're at too much. So I don't disagree with you that people on the lower end of the spectrum, particularly our seniors, need to be cared for. But at the same time, we've got an imbalance between what we're spending and what we're investing in. And right now, probably 80 cents of every dollar that we're spending is either going for operating costs or paying down the debt. So I don't know how many businesses will actually stay in business for very long. So that's why we're trying to grow our economy and try to look at different ways of delivering the services that just add more money to it. And I appreciate your question and your comment. Anything? Yes, Colin.
Going back to the roads, I mean, you were saying that the government said that they're really going hell-bent, not fixing that road. They haven't made a move down there in a month. Sitting there banging, bang, 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 bang on a rock is all I've been doing.
Yeah, I'm not sure, but when I talked to Jennifer Fraser, who's in charge of the project, I know that, you know, there's been a bit of criticism on just the whole way that process has been taken out. And from what I understand, there's quite a unique geographical situation in that mountain that wasn't initially identified. And when they did their core samples, just like you would for minerals and everything else, they didn't realize that there's almost a couple of plates in there that are on marbles. Something that they hadn't seen before is what I was told. And so now that's causing them some significant engineering challenges, but they're confident that they're going to be able to overcome it.
They've addressed that. They're not even working on that piece now. But I mean, they're moving some rock, and all you hear for 8 hours is some arsehole on an excavator busting a rock that big down to this, and moving it around. That's all he's doing.
I can't comment and I can't criticize. All I know is they tell us they're on budget, they're on time. It's supposed to be completed by the fall.
And also, you got noise and that, but I remember it was brought up because of our arena uses wells, and the aquifer is a little bit buggered up, and they're wondering about with the blasting if it has done something with the aquifer.
Those would be questions you'd have to bring up with the ministry. I don't know. But from what I understand, even with some of the noise that's going to be created from the highway, there's going to be quite a curb that's going to be developed along there. So a lot of the noise that you're going to receive from the wheels on the pavement will be reduced. But again, they know that we're watching, I'm watching, council's watching. And once they get close to completion, we'll make sure that all the parameters with the noise sensors, everything is done. And then if there's still a problem, I'm sure there's the opportunity to have that discussion with them. And I would certainly welcome to be there. Thank you. You're welcome.
I'm gonna put Christina on the hot spot. So Christina's our chamber manager.
Yes.
one of the things we have, Ward, is we actually have a physical information center where the public can pull in and talk.
Mhm.
But we don't get recognized for that, like a lot of other places, they just hire someone.
Mm-hmm.
So they have a physical person, they're able to pay way more money because they're not looking after a building.
Yes.
But we're finding out, and Christine, I've got her on the hot spot, but a lot of people still want, like when they're lost, is because this thing isn't working.
Mhm.
And they want a physical person to talk to. But we're having problems.
So are they looking at having the conversation with the Chambers building, or is that something that should be out of this building?
Well, I passed on.
The Chamber building is the visitor info center.
Right.
And you and I didn't get off to a start a couple of months ago. So thank you for putting me on the spot, David. Awesome. So, yeah, no, we have a visitor center here on like Kamloops.
Mhm.
Roaming ambassadors that nobody knows where they are, ever. So people that are stopping, they want a person. They want printed materials, that sort of a thing.
Mhm.
And we have a lot of people coming from Kamloops because they can't get the information there. So Kamloops is Kamloops, they do what they do. But we do get a lot of people stopping in for all kinds of things.
Do you get any funding from the BC government?
Yeah, Destination British Columbia.
Right, and how much do they give you?
Well, we don't know. There was, it was $10,000 a year prior to COVID, and then during COVID or after, I should say, it was up to 15 for 3 years. But those 3 years are gone now. So we don't know what's going to happen this year.
What about school kids? And I know there used to be grants like
Yeah.
in Barrier for the museum kids and that
Yeah.
sort of thing. Is there still a grant available that you can apply for?
We apply every year through Canada Works. Unfortunately,
So that is a federal project?
yes,
Yeah.
our MP unfortunately does not have tourism as a main priority.
Mhm.
He's focusing on families, seniors, children in need, that sort of a thing. So in order for anyone to get a summer student through Canada Summer Student Program, you would have to have an MP that has you as a priority.
Well, I would suggest, well, let me speak out of turn. I would suggest that here's a really good opportunity when your MP-elect or MP comes around to maybe bring that to his attention and say that we would honestly appreciate you pushing a little bit harder on this file.
Oh, I'm speaking a lot to Mel, and Mel and I.
But I mean, this is a good time for him to listen. Because this is the time that he wants to get
Okay,
reelected.
we don't need to get political.
No,
I
no,
won't
but-
get political either, but listen, Mel has nobody running against him from what I understand. So
But that's fine.
Mel does
But
what
I-
Mel does.
But I would also say that because of some of the dynamics that have happened in the last 4 or 5 months, I don't think anybody would have thought that the Liberals were 25 points behind and they are now ahead of the Conservatives, whether they are or whether they are. So I'm pretty sure that all of the candidates are going to be trying their very hardest to get every vote that they can. And I would think that if I was Mel, I would be pushing as much as I could. Because I certainly did when I was running, and I apologize if I wasn't here as much as I could have been, but I'm stretched, like I said, 5 municipalities and 6 First Nations, and we worked for every single vote that we could get, and we appreciated every single one that we did. And that's why I'm making myself available. I'm always a phone call away. I've talked to council, and I want to make sure that anything that's going on in your community that I can come and attend. I want to come and attend. I thought it was great to be able to participate in the parade this Christmas. You're going to see me every Christmas because that was so much fun. And honestly, you know, I'm not very far. I'm just over the hill from you guys. So it's near and dear to my heart, and I know how important it is for tourism. And I wanted to ask everyone in here, because I didn't get a chance to talk to council about it, is it's unfortunate that CSRD dropped the funding for the mussel program. I had a conversation with the Shuswap Watershed Coalition last week, And I'm gonna push as hard as I can with the environment minister to try to do something to make sure that we don't get that infiltration in the shoe swamp. Because it's gonna cost an incredible amount of money for our infrastructure, particularly the water intakes, and then I'm not even sure what it will do to the rest of the environment throughout the whole shoe swamp system if we allow that to happen. So I'm hoping that through collaboration with the Environment Ministry and our First Nations, that we can find some other funding available. I know it's tight for First Nations with their funding, but there always seems to be more funding for some of their special projects through the provincial government. I'm hoping that we can get something in the next 30 to 90 days before the summer.
And maybe you could help us too with the TNRD. We have no funding at all. We had all our printed material come through the CSRD, through Tourism Shuswap. They no longer exist.
What did CSRD provide?
The printed material that we were included in until last year when we were suddenly dropped because somebody over at the CSRD, who shall remain nameless, didn't want us in there because we are not part of the CSRD, obviously, we're TNRD.
Is that something that you would like to be brought up at the TNRD?
Absolutely, absolutely.
Thank you.
We
I know there's a director nearby.
We have no funding. We have to chat it.
So Shuswap tourism, there's no more Shuswap tourism.
No.
Right.
We used to have Shuswap tourism, and so Sicamous is doing it on their own. Sound Arm's doing it on their own, the CSRD is.
Where's Toto in all this?
That's exactly it. We are trying to get the funding out of TODA for this area because we need it.
Well, I will talk.
TODA doesn't do anything for us.
I will talk to Bev DeSantis personally on this.
If you could help us with that, that would be awesome.
I actually, it's funny because as a mayor, I was always at a bit of a burr too because it seemed like the Okanagan was always the one that was getting all the funds and we weren't getting anything else. And Bev, I think, recognizes that and she's trying to shift things a little bit more favorably. But I came up with an acronym that is, instead of it Thompson Okanagan Tourism Association, I came up with the Okanagan takes all the money.
Yeah.
But I will chat with Bev this week and see what we can do because I know there's a greater focus on the entire region. And now with the threat of tariffs from the US, staycations are gonna be more important than for everyone. I was in Kelowna for 2 days with my grandkids and I was doing a TV interview and the reporter was trying to grill me a little bit and he says, what are your constituents gonna think about you leaving the riding and going down to Kelowna? I said, well, the MLA from Kelowna is up at Sun Peaks, so we just traded. He said, good answer. So I would like to promote, and I talked to Bev earlier about this, is that we should be promoting staycations. We should be trying to encourage people to stay in BC. There's lots of places that people haven't been able to experience, whether it's a Shuswap or Parkerville or anything like that, and we should be encouraging it, and it sounds like they're gonna do that. So I would think that would be something that she should be talking to you about.
Just so you know, those of us that are in smaller communities in the TNRD are starting to get together to meet together to push the TODA to do, tell us what you are doing for us.
Sure.
And they can't because they aren't doing anything. So that's where we're at, just so you.
Well, we'll circle back and we can have a conversation about this. This is the perfect time of year to have these discussions. And I'm on a first name basis with them as well, so I will talk to them about it. How's that?
Sounds good.
Okay.
That was good. Owen, do you have any questions for, this is our new MLA award streamers here.
For me?
Or Dennis or Owen, either of you guys.
Maybe you should go ahead. You're more organized than I am, I think.
Not at all. Go ahead.
Well, the one observation that I have, between you and how this all goes is the TNR, or the CSRD is just a little ways down the road and we're in the TNRD.
Mhm.
And then when you turn around and you look at the MLA, we're in that district, but when we're talking about the MP is in this district. And the other thing with what Mr. Starmer said was that going after Mel Arnold now is a good time to do that. Because Mel is not, his riding has changed so significantly, like Bergen, and that area down there is no longer in it. So he's going from just outside of Kamloops all the way over to.
Alberta border.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Alberta border.
That's right.
So that changes the whole dynamics of the region that we're going to be in as far as federal policies are concerned. So I would raise it up with him pretty good.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, I think back to the tourism part of it, I think we all realize the benefits of getting more people into our communities. Chamber of Commerce is a representation of the businesses in our communities, and it only makes sense to be able to do as much as we possibly can. And again, back to the staycation thing, we had that during COVID and after COVID, and now there's less and less people inclined to go down to the States. The cost is just basically prohibitive, and people start feeling good about themselves spending the money here in BC. So I think we all should be on that. I think, it wouldn't be a bad idea. I don't know what TNRD has coming down the pipe in discussions, but even at Silga, that's a really good opportunity for TOTA and the other tourism groups to be there. Because we're all in this together, and the more people that we can get into our communities, the better it's gonna be, right? So let's do the planning now. I know of some of the other MLAs did exactly the same thing. I know our Indigenous minister was gonna go down to San Francisco with her kids and said they stay home, as an example. So everybody's keenly aware. So it was a good thing I could trade with Gavin Dew so that, I didn't get things out of whack. But no, seriously, I think we really want to do what we can. And again, you guys got a limited budget, so you're probably not asking for a lot of money, are you?
Anything.
Okay.
That's one of the things, Ward, is coming from a small town, like, when you go down to the coast, they can throw $1 million into something like nothing. But a small amount of money means more, when you were the mayor of Barrier, $20,000 is the moon to us. Down the coast, they're talking $20 million.
Well, $10,000 in barrier is 1%.
Yeah.
So if we need $50,000 more money, that's a 5% increase.
Yeah.
And I don't know where you folks are with your budget, but I know where barrier is, and it's not really where they want to be. And some of the stuff is totally out of their control. And again, it's because the higher levels of government are reducing the amount of investing in infrastructure that you folks have been trying to do all the way through, and it's going to make it very challenging going forward because it isn't getting any cheaper.
I can see we're gonna have more meat, but
Yeah.
I'm gonna give Owen's the manager of our arena.
Hey, Owen.
That's not a.
Nice to meet you.
We've actually been in contact indirectly from one of your friends, Mr. Richard.
Oh, Dave?
Dave.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I call him the mayor of Richard, but yeah.
So indirectly, we've kind of met already, but
Sure.
nice to meet you.
What do you need?
What do I need?
I know you need a sign in your arena, we're working on that.
Yeah, you're gonna get the sign up, I already know that's in work, so I'm already taking care of that problem for the arena.
Good, and I looked at your plan, wherever it is, Joni, of your new complex there, and that looks great. Does everybody feel pretty good about that?
Yeah.
About the new seniors complex coming in? Yeah. No, I also had another meeting, and it was kind of just of an informal meeting on seniors care and some of the needs in the village. And I heard there's been some changes in some of the I'm not going to call it an after-school program, but some of the people that have seniors in their homes, and it's that daycare, not the daycare, what's it called, where they take them for a day?
Senior daycare.
Senior
That's
daycare,
what it's
sure.
called here.
And they take them to Salmon Arm and things like that. What's the feeling in here on that level of service right now? Is there things that we should be looking at, things that we should be improving on?
Are you talking about seniors or
Well, I'm talking like the people.
disabilities?
Well, yeah, disability, so the
Okay.
people that are,
Yeah.
I know a couple of people that, when I was campaigning, one fellow has mental challenges he has since a kid, and twice a week he was being taken, I think, to somewhere by the curling rink. There was a, that used to be, and now they've changed it, and I know that the sister is having some challenges,
Yeah, yeah.
and she was having some
Yeah.
challenges, not only in trying to get some mental space when he wasn't there, but also the in-home care.
Yeah.
There's still some significant gaps in levels of expectation in the in-home care, and I think part of it is, logistics, because some of the people that are expecting this care are a long ways away from the municipality of Chase. So that makes it difficult in the wintertime, particularly to get those people on a regular basis to those homes. But have you heard anything else?
No, I'm sort of apprised of the situation, just that, and the problem seems to be like it's through community living.
That's right.
They have one person that comes here and gives that program,
That's right.
but she's been taking a lot of time off and they have no replacement. So they're getting 1 day a week or whatever for that, which is unfair. I mean, if they're getting the money for that program and they're paying, these people are paying some money for that, they should be getting that program. There should be somebody, so that's a community living issue. For staff,
You're in the Cal School District here, aren't you?
yes.
The reason I'm asking is because your highways is different, so I'm still trying to get up to speed on some of that stuff.
I was just gonna point out to you that is a problem for us. I always say we're in the Bermuda Triangle. We're CSRD and TNRD, and our area services a lot of people at the arena, in our businesses and whatnot that come from CSRD and TNRD as well, yet we get next to nothing from either of those.
Understood.
Which is, and Barrier would be the same, you've got people coming from
Oh, sure.
all different
Absolutely.
teacher facilities and stuff, right?
One of the-
And that's a problem for small towns.
Yeah, one of the challenges, Peter and I, and also the other, it's basically the 5 amigos, because there's 5 MLAs that actually touch Kamloops. We've got Lauren Dirkstrom from the Caribou, we've got Rosalind Bird that comes all the way down to Avola, Tony Luck is Stump Lake South, and then Peter and myself. And one of the challenges with the school board is that 88% of their budget is labor costs. It used to be 85%, now it's 88%. This year is a collective agreement year. The government has already negotiated in the past a 3% increase. They've received 20% in the last 5 years. That's what the employees have received. And so this year they're having to come up with 3% regardless of what happens in the contract year. And they're getting 0 per student for that. So it's even putting even more pressure on them. And one of the things that you probably heard about in the last few months is the teacher's assistants. At any given day, 30% of those teacher assistants don't come to work. Can you imagine running a business where 30% of your assistants didn't show up? So it's crazy. So they're trying to bring in, administrative staff, principals, vice principals, people that have a lot of work to do to try to help out in the classroom. So they thought for a stopgap, let's look at some of our older people in our communities, people that maybe are retired or semi-retired that could come in and give us a hand. And QB said absolutely no way. Because it's a contract year, we don't even want to negotiate or talk about it. So it's a big can of worms, and going forward, they doubled the amount of children with special needs in the last 2 years. Oh, sorry, 3 years. So in 3 years' time, they've doubled the amount of kids in the Cal School District with special needs. So again, we talk about sustainability. We're going to have to try to get ahead of this stuff. Otherwise, we're going to end up having private schools popping up all over the place. We're going to have funding challenges, the whole 9 yards. So we really have to try to wrap our heads around this collectively and try to come up with a plan. Because going forward, I can't imagine how we're going to be able to afford to pay it. I just don't. And the seniors, I had 2 people that came to my office yesterday. They were in tears. One has a mother, one has a father, in a brand new facility in Kamloops. They've got some significant staffing challenges. I would suggest that they probably shouldn't have opened it when they did, but it was the election and it makes everybody feel good. And honestly, some of the things were terrible. The food that they're actually eating in there, I wouldn't serve to my dog. And I'm not making this up. So we've got some significant gaps, and I told them that I'll be talking to the minister next week, again in the hallway where I get an opportunity to sit down and say, look, either we try to do something right now or I'm going to make you look really bad. Like, come on. One of them was promised, she had 2 days, 48 hours to put her father in there because of changing health standards and his personal standards, and she was assured that everything was going to be done right. She's there just about every single day since the 6th of December. They've got 34 people on one floor, 32 on another floor. One floor is people with dementia. Other one is with mobility challenges. So the one that has dementia, they've got 17 and 17. They have showers or baths once a week. So let's say today they're going to have somebody, like one of the care aides, to take them for a bath. That leaves 33 people with one person. Now I'll ask anybody in this room, do you think that's acceptable? Well, that's what's happening. It's absolute baloney. So I'm not sure what we can do about this in the short term, but we've certainly got to get more people in there, whether we split up some of the duties and have orderlies again so that they can help with some of the physical stuff and let other people do other things. But we've really got to get something ahead. The person that we were talking about that got in there in December, he's paying $4,000 a month for that. And that's the only place he could go to. Because of his dementia, he can't go to Berwick. He used to have, Berwick was really well done because there was a transitional port, so you could have a couple go in there and one of them could end up having a deterioration in their health, and then they could move down to the lower floor. It doesn't happen anymore. So his wife is still in Berwick because she's able to function. He got moved to this other facility. So we really got to get ahead of that. Earlier when you mentioned about healthcare and people on low income, we really got to do a better job for them.
So, I think this is pretty good for first time work, like it was good.
Well, sorry for taking so much time.
No, we want
and
it.
I appreciate, I certainly want to be welcome back. We can set it up hopefully we're sitting to the end of May, so possibly maybe in June before the summer. We'll get it out a couple weeks ahead so that people know if there's any questions that they want answered by council. They can send it to you folks, or they can mostly come here in person. And I'm always a phone call away, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak candidly with everybody here. That's why.
And Ward means it. If you get a hold of him, he'll get back to you right away. And what I'm looking forward to is like we'll let you know when we have events like our Music on the Lake in the summertime every Tuesday night. That's a great chance for the public just to come along, and you get to listen to music, and the public can just have a nice casual chat with you. And
sure. Now chances are I'm going to be up at Adams Lake at my cabin, so it's not far to come to.
Perfect. Hey, now you're stuck. but it was great that you came here because we had Todd Stone for years, but now we got a new guy, and it's good that you're putting a face to yourself.
Well, I appreciate the opportunity, and again, I'm always one phone call away. And if you can't, if that's easier to send an email or a phone call, we're open Tuesday to Friday, and just send us an email or a phone call, and we'll get back to you.
Awesome. So thank you very much.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
We'll see you again, and I'll get back to you on that.
Sounds good.
I'll get Bev on the horn. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Thanks.
That was nice. So that's delegations. Number 7, we're on to reports. My report, March 12th, I did the Inter4 mill tour with 2 other councillors. On March 17th, I met with the chartered accountants who are currently doing our annual audit. March 19th, I attended the regular Legion meeting as they try to get to all of their regular meetings. Today, March 25th, attended the regular monthly meeting along with the CAO, Misconduct Chief and Council. Some of the things we discussed were, as we talked about the wildfire mitigation, potential youth center in Chase, daycare for children opportunities, and looking at having the Shuswap Watershed Committee that Ward alluded to coming to the next Nisconnet meeting. In the future, March 28th, because everybody's always asking these questions, March 28th at the TNRD Committee of the Whole, there's going to be a presentation by BC Transit. So everybody's always asking about transit, and anybody can zoom into the meetings, and they're recorded, but you're going to actually be able to listen to a representative from BC Transit. There's also going to be reports by the TNRD on the EOC preparedness from the TNRD's perspective. There's also going to be an official from BC Wildfire, and there's also going to be a report on the impact of recent US tariffs on the TNRD and mitigation and strategies. So these are all things that the public can just zoom into. The meetings are recorded, great information.
So March 20th,
March 28th
this Friday.
at 9 a.m. So Councillor Conick?
Went to the last council meeting, was able to go on and met with a few people about some trees down there on Arbutus. And then, that's about it. I met other people uptown, chatted. Didn't go to any birthday parties, no David.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Herman?
March 18th, the Village of Chase Council meeting, also the Adams River Salmon Society meeting. And that's all. Just wanted to mention that the Adams River Salmon Society is looking for volunteers if anybody's interested for spring and summer activities. April 17th is a school field trip day, and they have something like 600 kids coming on that day in 2 shifts.
Oh my goodness.
So they're looking for some people to hang out there at the cabin and do a few things. And then they're also looking for people to sort of shadow or work along with some student volunteers in the summer. So I've signed up for a few days of that because I thought that'd be a pretty good way to spend a day and just hang out at the park. And they've just got some really young students. And so it's just having that they're out there if they're left alone at the park. So if anybody's interested in hiking around the park for a day or anything, let me know and I'll hook you up with Michelle for volunteer. So that's my report.
Okay, thank you very much. Councillor Torbon?
March 11th, council meeting, March 12th, attended the Adams Lake, the Interforce Sawmill. We had a really good tour there. It's like I worked there in the early 70s, late 60s. At that time, it was all manual labor. And when we went there this time, it's pretty much all AI, pretty much. The workers don't really touch anything, it's all done by machines. So that was pretty interesting. March 18th, attended a budget meeting. Other than that, review agendas, monitor my emails and reply as needed, meet with staff as required, and take inquiries from local people.
Okay, so need a motion to accept the reports. Councillor Herman, Councillor Conick, all in favor? That's carried. 8, new unfinished business. 9, new business. 9.1, development variance permit. Director of corporate operations, is there anything you wish to add to this report?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, members of council. I think I will take a short opportunity to explain, maybe not this permit in specific, but the village received money from UBCM last year to update our development approvals bylaw. And part of that bylaw is to present better information to the public and the development community. So it makes it easier for them to understand how to apply for permits, how to apply for zoning variances. But there's also an opportunity within that bylaw to delegate authority from council to administration on small variances, and I use this one as an example. So if you've looked at the metrics that we're talking about here, centimeters of varying the bylaw, and it really does have to get down to that. But what council will be asked when that bylaw comes forward in the summer is, where do you want your level of responsibility to be above, and what do you want to delegate to staff below? So small variances that aren't really impactful on the bigger picture could be, like this is an example, could be delegated to staff, so you don't have to see them. They're done a lot quicker for the applicant. The turnaround time and processing, there's no report to council, just a more efficient process. So I just wanted to bring that up because you're going to see it again when that bylaw comes before council. We're going to present a number of options, and it'll be up to council to say yes. We believe administration can make a good decision on these things, and we want to retain the responsibility and the authority on these other ones. But I just wanted to bring that up in relation to this. Thank you.
So there is a recommendation there, Councillor Herman.
I move that council accept the application and direct staff to complete the referral process and prepare a draft development variance permit that would vary the parcel line setbacks.
Seconded by Councillor Torbonne. And just for discussion, that was good information, because
Yeah,
lots of
that's
times
true.
we've had people with a set of stairs where there was another lady, they built their shed and they're out by a foot, now they gotta pay $500. And it takes up, I would say, almost unnecessary staff time for over one foot. So that's good information there. Yeah. Any other discussion?
There'd be a, if,
Councillor Coniff?
say this thing here's out 6 inches, now, if this was staff's decision, and if you said, no, you can tear your thing down, is there any appeal after that to come to council and, okay.
Good question. Okay, anything else? All in favor? That's carried, thank you very much, corporate officer. 9.2, Chase Hamper Society, Chase Lions, Community Hall lease agreement. There's a report from the other guy who's the corporate officer this time. Is there anything you would wish to add to this one?
Not at this time, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Torbonne?
I'll move that council ratify the lease agreement between the Village of Chase and the Chase Christmas Hamper Society and the Chase District Lions Community Clubs Society effective April 1st, 2025 for a term of 1 year.
A seconder? Councillor Herman? Any discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Hold it.
Oh, we had discussion.
I just wanna make sure that people realize, and I'm all for this, you know, the community hall operating, the 24 revenue is $12,560. And expenditures is $81,722. So, people to realize that the community hall isn't paying for itself in any way whatsoever. But, I mean, of course I'm gonna vote for this, but
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Councillor Coniff?
no.
No, that's good to bring to attention. Okay, all in favor? That's carried. Electric Love Music Festival request for letter of support, and yeah, so I think we have somebody on Zoom, is there?
Dennis Electric.
Yeah, I'm,
Is it Dennis or?
yeah, Dennis, Mike,
Dennis?
can you hear me?
That's right.
Here.
Can
Can you hear,
can we hear you, Dennis?
yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah, is there anything you want to add to this?
Well, I'd like to thank council for considering it. I'm just representing my daughter. She's at work, so she told me to come,
Okay,
help her out or whatever. We got most of the details in the letter. But we, we support several businesses there. We spent like, $6,000 on diesel at the gas stations in Chase. And we went to Safety Mart. We used the Overlander Motel, so we try and do as much business as possible for Chase and in the region. And we're open to if anyone wants to do would be interested in working with the festival as a business that they figure they can be involved would be great too.
okay, so that's good. There is a recommendation there if someone wants to make that. Councillor Coniff?
The council direct administration provide a letter of support to the Electric Love Music Festival.
Got a seconder for that one? Councillor Herman, discussion? No discussion. Okay, all in favor? That is carried, so staff will be sending a letter of support.
Oh, okay. Well, thanks a lot. I appreciate that.
Yeah, we appreciate it too, thanks.
Yeah, and then like I said, any businesses or anyone wants to be involved with the festival, just get a hold of us, and we'd love to do more business with everyone in the town.
Excellent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So we're on to number 10, notice of motion. Anybody like to make a notice of motion? None? Okay. Number 11, opportunity for public to speak on municipal matters. This is an opportunity for members of the gallery to provide input on any municipal matter. Is there anybody here? One, two people? Who would like to go first?
Who else was there?
Caroline and yourself.
Okay, I'll go first.
Just name and address,
I'm
please.
gonna try and be really brief. So.
Name and address first, please.
You want my name?
And address.
Oh, an address, 21 Blue Spruce Way, Dennis Uchesson, last name spelled Y-O-U-C-H-E-Z-I-N, I'm not doing it again. Okay. So, one of my concerns has been loss of a doctor, and then it comes down to medical records and where do they vaporize to? And so I went on that hunt today, and I haven't sort of come to a conclusion yet. But what I did find out was one of our doctors vacated to North Shore, to the North Shuswap Health Center, and if we remember correctly, that health center was started by two other doctors that vacated from Oregon to Chase, put in a little short period of time, and then flew to the north and started that little clinic up over there. And they since retired, so that left them in the health system sort of in limbo. And then they formed a society up there, and they took over. They bought it all out. Okay, and so the doctors, they have 4 doctors there, believe it or not, and they, including the one that just left here. And so what that society has done is it's gone to the regional district and have implemented a taxation program on it, whereas you have a $400,000 property, according to your tax guide, you're taxed on it to the tune of around $26 and some odd cents, which then and so subsequently they collect all this money from the properties around the way, which that varies, and that funding goes to the society to operate the clinic. So we're between a rock and a hard place here, and I thought that perhaps we should sort of go along that way. I mentioned this earlier to Mr. Torbon, who in turn redirected me to this gentleman. And so I'm just putting this out, forward so that, to sort of give a heads up that we may have to move along in that direction. Because Mr. Stammer said that there's $2 billion going into healthcare. Chase might need to have their hand out for that, but we will have to maybe own this facility over here, the doctor's clinic. So I'll leave you with that thought, and I'll sit my butt down, and the next speaker can get up.
Okay, thank you very much.
Carolyn Parksmith, 813 Okanagan. I was really pleased to see the detailed strategic plan of the village, and I just was wondering if and when there'll be an update issued down the line as to sort of what's happened on some of the projects that are underway.
Probably within 6 months.
Do you want to answer that, CA?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd just like to say probably within the next 6 months, there will be another update.
Yeah, thank you. Good communication as usual.
Anything else, Caroline?
No, that's fine, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? Number 12, for now we're going to go in camera. Does someone want to make that statement? Councillor Irma?
I move that council recess to an in-camera meeting pursuant to section 91 of the Community Charter, paragraph K, negotiations and related discussions respecting the proposed provision of municipal service that are at their preliminary stages and that in the view of council could be reasonably expected to harm the interests of the municipality if they were held in public.
You have a seconder? Councillor Orban, all in favor? That's carried, so we'll take a 5-minute recess and then go in camera. Thanks everybody for coming.
Yeah.